Hello and welcome to Weekend Investing Daily Bites. We're shooting episode number 151. Today we're going to talk about how we ourselves become the biggest enemies of our investing process due to our behavioral biases and how we ruin the returns that our portfolio was supposed to get us, at least most of us, if not all. But let's first take a look at the markets as of 23rd December. So the markets, which were on a bounce since last couple of days after the vicious crash on Friday and Monday, continued that bounce. The real estate stocks, public sector enterprises, PSU banks, FMCG, energy and IT were leading the packs. Private banks, metals, and commodities were in the lower part of the table. So it seems that the big scare of Omicron and the world shutting down, at least for now, seems to have taken a back seat. FIIs, however, continue to sell. Domestic buyers continue to buy, and the buying difference between domestic buyers and overseas sellers has considerably reduced, and domestic buyers seem to be having the upper hand. So the market have bounced a bit and is stabilizing. So most of the losses from last week or so have been made up in many sectors. As you can see, several sectors are already in the green for the week and some are about to get there. In terms of the broader market, Nifty Next 50 was up 1%. Nifty Small Cap Index was up 0.8%. Mid and small cap index was also up 0.8%. CNX 200 was also up 0.8%. The entire market was pretty much in the 0.7 to 1% range. Weekend investing small cases also continued the recovery. MIATH at almost 2% up, MI25 almost 1.7% up, and the others near about 0.5%. More or less recovering in a large part the losses of the last 1 week, with some strategies a little bit behind. So the market setup does look like that we are gradually inching up. Unless we have a fresh wave of any negative news or a global pressure on the downside, I doubt that we will give up much of these gains. But if there is a renewed fear of the virus or some other external factor, then of course things can change. So right now it seems that Nifty came to around the 200 DMA and has started moving back up. The rupee is also strong. It has moved up from 76 to about 75.29. So almost a 1% gain. So strength in the rupee is always encouraging for the stock markets, and that seems to be the case as of now. So coming to the topic of the day, that we are our biggest investing enemies. So why we are saying this is that we want to highlight the story of the Magellan Fund. So Fidelity Magellan Fund was run by the very famous Peter Lynch from, I think, 1977 to 1990. Yes, that's right. And as we have read about him and his famous book, One Up on the Wall Street, he delivered an astounding 29% annualized return in this period. In this 13-14 year period, his returns in this Magellan Fund were about 29% annualized returns, which at that point were 2 times the returns of the S&P 500 index. So he virtually, just lambasted through this entire decade, and he became the best performing fund ever, and that's the sort of his why he's so famous in that period. Now that all that is fine, and you would imagine that anybody who was associated with Mr. Lynch in that fund would have had a tremendous decade and would have compounded their wealth all through. But according to the statistics of Fidelity Investments, the average Magellan Fund investor lost money during this tenure. So it is a bit unimaginable to see that 14 years of average 29% CAGR, and yet the average investor in that fund lost money. So you can imagine what would have happened, and this has to do with the behavioral challenge that each individual investor faces. It has nothing to do with the fund actually. The fund is performing very well, but how you are behaving along with the fund, how you are bringing your money in, how you are exiting, how you are adding, how you are withdrawing money, are you panicking, are you getting too greedy, all that is making the difference in terms of what is your average return from your association with this fund. So what happened? So he had some exceptional years, I think like any other fund or any year in the stock market. If you look at last 10-15 years of market returns, you will find that even index has very lumpy returns. There will be years where you'll have 30, 40, 50% type of returns. There will be years where you'll have minus 20, minus 10%, minus 25% type of returns. So it is going to be lumpy. It is not going to be linear at all. Our brain works linearly. It finds it difficult to, navigate these lumpy or exponential sort of paths. But that's how we are all wired. So in 1980, the fund had a staggering 80% return. And as you would rightly imagine, that everybody, at least what I've seen in the Indian mutual fund industry also, if you ask a person where will you invest, average investor, I'm not talking about the experts that some of you are out there, but the average investor will go and see which are the best performing funds of last 1 year. If you will see the ads these days, you will see mutual funds are advertising we made 60%, we made 80%. They are really, some of them are misleading the public by doing this. So a lot of people, normal investors, would think that 80% return by Mr. Peter Lynch. Why should I go anywhere else? Let me go and invest with Mr. Peter Lynch. I may get 80% next year also. And the next year what happens, as you know very well, the stock markets may have underperformed, and his fund underperformed the markets as well. So a double whammy sort of. So some investors would withdraw money or move out of the fund after this fall has come, and then once we have a very good year, they will come back in or add more money at that point of time. So this entire process of our behavioral trying to do a one-upmanship on your fund manager, that I know better than what my fund manager is doing, so let me try to time his ups and downs with my timing, by withdrawing money when I think he's going to go down, and by adding money when I think he's going to go up. That fails very badly for most people. So the market timing is not only very, very difficult, but it is also very, very costly. I mean, I can tell you with experience of last 18 months, several of our investors also, they moved out of the strategies when the March fall came, and then they kept waiting till the end of 2020 before they could find some courage to come back in. And several of investors in other conventional investing domain have told me on one-to-one that we've not been able to invest after the COVID crash because the valuations just ran away, and then we did not have a heart to buy stocks which were 2 times, 3 times from where we had seen them just a year back. So all these behavioral biases kind of tend to ruin the returns which are possible from the markets. And markets, as you know very well know, move in cycles. Different strategies, different sectors will move at different times. There is all kinds of news that will keep flowing in the market, that will keep causing you to worry, or keep making you more greedy at times. So our own sort of behavior really becomes our enemy in trying to dissuade us from following a simple path, that this is our strategy and this is how we should sip through it, and I will not think anything out of this. We tend to think too much out of the box at times, and this feeling that a lot of people have, that I know better than the market. The market is full of fools and I'm the smart one out there. That, I think, ruins a lot of returns for a lot of investors. So understand the strategy and stick to it, whatever strategy you may have chosen, whether it's momentum, whether it's value, whether it's trading of any sorts. Don't jump from strategy to strategy just because you had a 3 months of a drawdown or a 1 year of a drawdown. Because if it's a long term strategy, then 1 year period is anyways not the right time to even judge it. Just like this example of Peter Lynch not doing well in 1981. He got 70-80% in 1980. So even if he didn't do well in 81, that was no sort of judgment on his ability to do well in the long term. I'll give you an example of MI25, the strategy that we've been running live for almost 6 years now. We had 2 bad years, I would say. I mean, bad years because they're negative, but when you compare them to small cap downtrends or drawdowns, these were actually good years. But even if I were to say that these 2 years were not positive, and if somebody who came in FY19 looking at FY18 performance and FY17 performance, the 2 years, the strategy is giving 70%, 63%. It should keep giving that every year. And then you could come in at FY19 and say, I got minus 12% or minus 7%. 2 years have gone by and nothing is working. So let me leave this, or let me, withdraw my money. And just look at what happened the next year after that. It gave a return of plus 99%. So a lot of times we tend to, overthink and over extrapolate the short term moves, which can be very, very detrimental to our returns and how our behavior goes. A simple example of when we look at CAGR returns, like this is CNX 200 index. If we see over 5-6 years, we've achieved 15% CAGR returns, but that has not come without any pain. I mean, just look at you would have started, let's say, at 2016. And over time, your CAGR returns were around 20. Then they started slipping over time, and then they almost went to zero. When the COVID crash came. If you had some doubts about your strategy or about your manager or about whatever you're holding, you may have sold out here and just wasted the opportunity to bring it back to 15% in just 1.5 years. So the pain that comes around in a drawdown can really switch your mind to sort of stray from the path that you were on, and one tends to sort of try to find some shortcuts or ways to go against what you were actually doing right earlier. And also some keeping expenses minimal, etc. We can ruin our returns by not being in the right strategy. So there are strategies where the expense ratio may be decided upon the recommended size, and you don't have the recommended size, so the expense ratio for you is too high. So you must always take care that the expense ratio is right for you, and you are knowing well in advance what is the kind of cost of the strategy to you. So given all these experience that we've had in the last 25-26 years, and especially in the last 6 years while running small cases, interacting with so many investors, we have distilled all that knowledge and experience into this new small case that we're coming up with. It's called MI Evergreen. It will have the strongest 20 stocks from the CNX 200 universe, and it will also have the added protection of gold in it. So it's going to be just a very, I would think, a blockbuster long-term gradually compounding strategy. And I'm actually very confident about it, and I think this is going to be our leading strategy in times to come. So stay tuned for more information on this in the coming days. This will get launched by next week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.